Hello, my name is Dr. Colin Rose, and welcome to the asynchronous support content for the Perennial decision-making tool. This brief introduction will bring you through the purpose and the constructs of the decision-making tool. It also will introduce the format of the 6 modules that will follow. Before we jump into looking at the tool and its constructs, we wanted to have a bit of a conversation around what a decision-making tool is and how it's connected to equity. Really, the goal of a decision-making tool is to have a real active process that considers all important aspects of planning from ideation all the way through implementation and continuous improvement. What our tool does is also insert into that type of a process prompts and the lens of equity as you go through it, right? It's very proactive, meaning that as we're going through and we're building, whatever the initiative is or whatever the decision we're going to make or whatever the product is, that we're really cooking in kind of that critical lens from the beginning and all the way through each step of the process. Uh, for that, it's not meant to be, it could be used as, but not meant to be a kind of ex post facto after the fact analysis like many other kind of equity checks or tools. It really is part of the process and built in. So that product has aspects of equity already built in, and it's not something that we need to do after the fact. With that, I want to jump into kind of talking about the 6 constructs and steps within the perennial decision-making tool. The first 3 really look at kind of examining the context and gathering information. And then the last 3 are really around planning and implementation. Um, the constructs, as they're outlaid now, are really kind of closely related to and aligned to the Government Alliance on Race and Equity. We help support the use of our process in many districts and organizations, and really intend to facilitate a decision-making process, again, that embeds equity rather than having some extra tool that's ancillary or an overlay. Quite often, when we talk to organizations, districts, units, schools, companies, whoever we're working with, they lack a coherent approach to decision-making in general. And our process through our 6 constructs, we believe, just at the end of the day, is good planning. These contracts, these constructs include step 1, desired outcomes, really trying to get down to our goals. Step 2, data analysis, really the data connected to those desired outcomes. Step 3, stakeholder engagement, right? Who are the folks that are will be a part of or affected by those desired outcomes. Step 4, proposal. This is really where the work starts, so to speak, based off of the context that we gathered, making a proposal of what we will do. Step 5, implementation plan. How are we going to implement that proposal? And then step 6, communication and accountability. How are we sharing it back out? How are we going to hold ourselves accountable? And you see that cyclical um, arrow pointing back to desired outcomes, because really accountability should connect back to uh, the outcomes that we outlined and the goals that we outlined in step 1. So that's the process and the tool in a nutshell. And obviously, you can look at the tool for the prompts in each one of those steps. Really wanted to make a quick note as you move through the tool, some things to think about and keep in mind as you go to use and think about implementing the process. One, you'll see in each step that there's a series of questions and prompts that get you to facilitate kind of the step. I want folks to know that those are not an exhaustive list of every question that might need to be asked or is connected to any individual decision or initiative that folks are trying to build. Nor are all the ones that are there necessarily relevant for every single type or every single initiative that you would embark on, right? So don't look at this as some robotic check-off tool. What's really important is that each step, each construct in the process are thoroughly addressed to fidelity. So really think about that as those prompts to get folks discussing and thinking within the steps, but not necessarily be robotic around answering each one and only the questions that are there. Second, although it is generally probably best used sequentially as it's outlaid, the tool is iterative. So number one, for practical reasons, sometimes steps can be done at the same time, maybe a bit out of order, especially when you're thinking about steps one, two, and three. Two and three, you got your data analysis and your stakeholder engagement. Quite often, it, it might not matter whether you're engaging with stakeholders as you're analyzing data, or if you analyze data before you talk to your stakeholders. Either way, again, because of the iterative nature of the tool and how it's used, you might talk to a stakeholder who gets you to think about some data you might want to go back and check, even if you've done step two. So don't think that you're ever kind of quote unquote done with a step. You can always go back, edit, and rethink as you go down the line in the steps in the tool. So that's what we mean by iterative. Uh, and again, a reminder that this is not a fill-in tool. You don't do the tool in one sitting and just fill it out. It's really meant to facilitate a process and move along kind of all those steps again from ideation to implementation and continual improvement with whatever initiative or decision that you're making. And the third, really bolded here, the tool is not a substitute for developing a critical lens, right? Individuals, institutions, companies, um, they all have responsibility in building their critical lens and their knowledge of kind of whatever they're dealing with to be broadly and as it relates to equity and the awareness that is built with that. So capacity building by kind of reading scholarship, taking courses, consulting with experts, consulting with the community, hiring folks if you're thinking about kind of an organization that come in with a strong critical lens. All those things are ways to kind of build that quote unquote sweat equity, pun intended, that can't just be built by simply using the tool, right? The tool will hopefully guide you into thinking and prompt you to think kind of in those ways. But again, a tool is a tool. So three things to really think about as you're moving through the tool. Quickly, kind of the overview of the next 6 modules. They will go into each one of those steps, with a little bit of a short bite-size kind of coursework type acclamation. Each one will include objectives, short presentation similar to this one, and then some key highlights at the end. So that's really kind of what these support modules will look like, and hopefully will help folks kind of better understand each step of the tool. If you're interested in diving deeper with professional development or could use some strategic support, definitely feel free to contact us at info@perennialed.com. Again, info@perennialed.com. Other than that, that's the end of kind of the overview for the modules. Next up will be step one, desired outcomes, really thinking about the goals of whatever initiative or decision that you're trying to make. And without any delay, I'll see you over there. Thank you and have a great day.